So, Carmel, how would you say a negotiator to prepare before the viewing?
So I would say to arrive to the property at least 10 minutes beforehand. If the property is vacant, obviously go inside, turn all the lights on, open up the curtains, try and get in as much light as possible so it looks nice. In some instances, you may need to tidy up a little bit. So, you know, if we've got a tenant in the property, you might just need to make the bed, just make it look presentable.
Would it be okay to ask the tenant sometimes to tidy up before the viewing, or do you think that's just a bit out of...
No. They should have the property in a presentable way if they know we're going to be conducting viewings. Unfortunately, not all tenants do that. So you may have to get them to help you tidy up. But yeah, it needs to be tidy.
So in terms of like, you said to go in there, turn on all the lights, what kind of lighting is best? When a tenant walks in, to the property, would you say, like curtains, or do you think just switching on the light would be best? What would you say?
Both. Turn all the lights on. You want as much natural light coming in as possible, especially if the apartment may be a basement apartment, for example. It's quite dark and dingy in there, and you don't want to put the clients off. So, just turn the lights on, and it just gives it that nicer feel, to be honest.
There was one time I went to an appointment and there was a bunch of students, guys in there, and it didn't smell very good. So what kind of thing would you suggest that a negotiator would do to be able to combat that situation?
I mean, you can always obviously carry some air freshener or something in your bag if you're a female, and just maybe give the property a little spray beforehand so it's nice and fresh.
Okay, cool. So Carmel, in terms of researching the property before you get to it, what would you say is important from the tenant's point of view?
So as a negotiator, you need to know pretty much everything about the property. You want to know firstly the price of the property, the date it's available, I guess if it's going to be furnished or unfurnished. You want to know as much about the property as possible to try and sell it. So it will be good to also know about the local area, so where the closest shop is, transport links, how quick it is to get from the property into the main centre of the city. As I say, schools are very important for families and young children. So I think those are the most important questions.
So sometimes you go to property and then, it's a lot of landlords nowadays, they have it like part furnished. If I went into a situation I wasn't sure about what furnishings were in a property, would it be okay for me to just say to the tenant or the applicant, yeah, I'm not too sure, or do you think that's something I must know?
I mean, obviously it's always good for the negotiators to know the answers, but sometimes, we don't know. And if a landlord may be indecisive at the beginning, he doesn't know what he wants to do. So I would always be honest with the client and let them know, look, I need to find out whether it's going to be part furnished, and exactly what will be included. So, it's not wrong if you don't know the answer, you simply don't know. Just don't make it up, that's all.
Okay, all right. Nowadays, everyone wants to look good, so gyms and parks and stuff are important. Is that something you think is important to know from the negotiator's point of view, just in case the tenant wants to know? Or
Definitely. A lot of people ask nowadays, as you say, about the gyms and the park, so it's always good to know. The more you know, the more likely you will close that deal.
Okay, all right, brilliant, thank you very much.
That's all right.
So, talking about the offer process, what kind of things do you feel that a tenant can do, a negotiator can do to close a tenant?
So, I mean, with any property, within the lettings industry, it's first come, first serve, unfortunately. So if somebody generally does like a property, then they would need to make an offer quite quickly. With our negotiators, obviously they can just send the link directly to the client. They can fill it out there and then in front of them and obviously help them, which will secure the deal a lot quicker. Sometimes people, want to speak to their partners when they go home, show them videos. But I think as a negotiator, you need to let people know that properties do move very quickly, especially something that's brand new, in high demand. Also, you're doing regular viewings, so that day you might have 3-4 viewings. So if the person at the end of the day puts down a holding deposit, unfortunately the first person that was really interested but wanted to speak to their partner would have lost it. So you need to let them know the property will go very quickly. At the end of the day, you're not forcing anyone into anything, but you're just being open with them, because they will be upset when the property's let, and that's the honest truth.
I'm talking about partners in specific. Do you think it's important that the main person that makes the decision is the person that comes on the viewing, or do you think it's okay for just like both partners to just sort of come and see it? What are your thoughts on that?
No, ideally you would want to get the couple to come together at the same time. If not, it needs to be the decision maker. There's no point you showing the other person and then we need to wait a few more days for the other partner to come along. By that point, you've probably let it to someone else, and if you haven't, another negotiator would have. So, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
That's all right, thank you.
So I just wanted to talk about the viewing, the whole viewing process, and about the holding deposit and how much holding deposit someone takes, and how to calculate what the tenant needs to pay, because those are things that I always forget.
Yeah, of course. Well, initially, if a client is interested in the property, we would ask them to pay 1 week's holding deposit. That is the maximum anyone is allowed to take. Not a penny more at all. You can obviously ask for slightly less, but within our company, we ask for 1 week minimum. That takes the property off the market, subject to references. The total monies, we would ask for your first month's rent in advance, and for the deposit, we ask for a 5-week security deposit. Now, if we rent out rooms, sometimes we may ask for a 4-week. So it's always between 4 to 5 weeks maximum. With the deposits, they get registered with the DPS. The tenants are given a copy of a certificate to prove where their deposit is. Obviously, at the end of the tenancy, as long as there's no damages in the property, they'll be entitled to their deposit back.
So, Carmel, I was doing a viewing once, and a negotiator came out and asked me, what's the dilapidation deposit? Do you know what is that?
So that would be your security deposit, which is either the 4 weeks or the 5 weeks, and that gets registered with a deposit scheme. Now, a landlord can choose to hold a deposit if they want, but again, they still need to register it. And obviously a tenant is given a copy of the certificate to prove where that deposit has been held. As a landlord, they have up to 30 days to register the deposit and provide that certificate to the tenant.
Okay, all right, brilliant, thank you very much.
Thank you.